and sport.
Hello and welcome to Saturday's 6-1 News and Sport. The headlines.
We want them abolished, abolished, abolished. Trauma.
Over 100,000 protesters take to the streets on nationwide day of action over water charges.
It's enough is enough. That's the end of it.
Junior Minister Jed Nash says government acknowledges people's anxieties and is prepared to address them.
We have a very open mind on this and are very clear that we will respond to the concerns that people have.
From Phibsborough, the marchers proceeded directly to O'Connell Street to meet protesters from all over the city.
Don't agree with the water charges at all. I think it's a human right, basic human right.
Because we're not paying for water, Irish water, that we paid for already.
I mean, I'm paying house tax now, bin taxes now. I'm on where does it end? On €193 a week.
Hard-won rights from over hundreds of years, from the labour movements, from workers and working people are being eroded by austerity across Europe.
The local marches were organised by the Right to Water group, who said they're a message for the government.
Irish water will be free.
We're not looking for any sort of tax credits, or we're not looking for more allowances or anything else. The message is very clear. We want to get rid of water charges. We want to get rid of Irish water.
The O'Connell Street rally was organised by the Dublin Says No group, who have also vowed to continue the campaign.
You only have to look here today and on the 11th of October and on the next marches there's going to be bigger and better than what it is, and it's going to carry on, and we're not going to stop until these water charges are abolished.
The government says it is willing to offer concessions, but says that the charges are here to stay.
We understand what people are saying, we understand that people are very anxious about what's coming down the line, and we are prepared to take a comprehensive set of measures to make sure that the charging system is fair and is affordable and transparent.
Further protests are now being planned for December 10th.
The first of 6 protests in the county got underway in Bandon at midday, and despite the torrential rain, some 400 determined protesters armed with umbrellas made their way through the town to hand in a petition at the offices of local Fine Gael TD Jim Daly.
And this is not about a political group, and I don't care what politicians here. This is about water and citizens are being wronged.
I think it's the end of the line, really. It's the last straw. We're entitled to drink water, we're entitled to shower. I'm concerned that it's going to be a privatised company, and then that means they'll have a monopoly and they'll be able to charge what they want.
Then they travelled from Bandon and outlying towns such as Cove and Middleton and villages like Ballyhay in North Cork to join marchers in the city centre for the second anti-water charges march in a week. But the numbers were much bigger, 2,000 last weekend to some 10,000 and upwards today.
I think it's the final straw that broke the camel's back. I think we have to protest today just to show the government no more.
Because we feel it is unfair what they do, it is unjust, you know. Like, I mean, the thing is, if they put anything on it, they'll drive it up every year, and there'll be no stop to it, you know. They'll use it as a budget gimmick.
I'm not fond of water preservation, but why don't they fund Irish Waters from the money they're already collecting from us instead of trying to get us to pay a second time?
This gives us control, this gives us power. It's a great feeling that the numbers here today are so huge.
Irish water will be free.
An estimated 5,000 people marched from a number of suburbs to Limerick city centre as part of the national demonstration against water charges. This was the second Saturday in a row where thousands of people in Limerick city took to the streets in a strong show of resistance to the charges. They were urged to get active in their neighbourhoods and to continue to resist the charges and the installation of water meters, as part of what March leaders called a community-wide revolt against water charges.
This is the straw that's broke the camel's back for me. This government is a joke. They think that people are just going to lie down and take every tax that comes at them, and it's just not fair.
I came out to support because it's we're not paying for water. It's falling from the skies.
I think we're paying enough, and we're just strapped, and you just can't do it anymore. And now look at it. Look at all the rain that's coming down today. No way.
A similar message on the streets of Galway as a further 3,000 people marched from the city's Spanish Arch to Eyre Square, chanting "We won't pay," the slogan heard across the country today.
We pay already, and this is an added extra charge that is unnecessary.
I'm just sick of the government throwing out all these charges, and I wouldn't mind if they fixed our water system first before this charge came about, but no, they've just decided to tax us. As an Irish person, I'm not happy.
Organisers say further marches are planned for the end of November and again in December.
Donegal said no again today in huge numbers. Well over 10,000 people took to the streets in 3 separate protests. The biggest crowd, estimated in the region of 8,000 people, made their feelings known in Letterkenny. Up to 4,000 marched through Ballyshannon, while a smaller crowd turned out in Lifford. People power was the chant from the crowd marching through Sligo, a crowd which grew street by street as more people joined in, eventually swelling the protest march to about 4,000 people.
It's an absolute disgrace in this time of austerity and all what the Irish people have gone through, losing their homes. What can we afford to do now? Nothing.
Too many taxes now, too many. We're paying enough for the universal social charge. Surely water is a universal right. Take the money out of the universal social charge.
In County Leitrim, the feelings were equally strong among the 1,000 or so protesters who marched through Carrick-on-Shannon.
This is a wake-up call from us. If you want to be in government next year, get rid of the water rates.
People are just fed up with the way that things have gone on. It's give and give and give, and we just don't have any more to give. That's it.
Eileen Magner, RTE News, Carrick-on-Shannon.
Despite grey skies and heavy rain, more than 5,000 protesters took to the streets of Waterford City, expressing anger and frustration at a charge many feel is unjust.
We won't pay. We're pushed to the limits as it is.
In County Louth, similar numbers demonstrated in Dundalk, and in one of the largest protests outside Dublin and Cork, up to 8,000 people gathered in Drogheda. While smaller crowds marched through towns like Carrick-on-Shore, County Tipperary, and Gorey in County Wexford, the message for the government was just as strong.
We're rising up and saying enough is enough. You bailed out the banks and we're suffering.
Criticism too on the streets of Cavan, where more than 3,000 people demonstrated.
This is not just about Irish water. This is about the future of this country.
The bankers are back banking, the builders are back building, and we have the burden of the water charges.
Playing the same tune in Portlaw, County Waterford, hometown of Padraig Coffey, Minister for State and the Department of the Environment. With thousands more saying no to water charges in towns and villages across the country, demonstrators say they've sent a clear signal of discontent to the coalition parties. Sharon Gaffney, RTE News.
John Kilrain, some of the biggest marches today were in Dublin. How did they go?
Well, everything passed up peacefully. We had around 10,000 people attending a rally in O'Connell Street and very large turnouts all around the suburbs. In Swords, there were 4,000 people turned out there to march. Also, some other towns outside Dublin, Newbridge, County Kildare, Tullamore, County Offaly and Navan, County Meath. Each of those attracted 2,000 people each. Now, I'm joined now by Brendan Ogle of the Right to Water campaign. Brendan, what's your reaction to the turnout today?
Well, it's been an amazing day of community protest all over Ireland. Right to Water sponsored over 100 local demonstrations in communities, and we had the other event in Dublin that you referred to that we were glad to speak at as well. So we reckon there's definitely over 150,000 in those events all over Ireland. Figures are still coming in. The weather certainly didn't dampen the anger of people against this regressive tax. And for us now, it's about the 10th of December, International Human Rights Day. Water is, after all, a human right, and we're going to have a huge event in Dublin City that day as well.
Okay, so there's no sign of this issue going away. It's back to you in the studio.
John Kilrain in Dublin, Jenny O'Sullivan in Cork and Cathy Halloran in Limerick. Thank you all very much for joining us this evening. Now, for some political reaction to this story, our political reporter Micheál Lahan is in studio. And Micheál, talking about today's protest, we heard from Jed Nash earlier. What about the opposition parties? What have they been saying?
Yeah, many opposition TDs and senators have been out on those marches today, and obviously they've seen what people are saying and they've heard it. Fianna Fáil are saying suspend the water charges and review Irish water. Sinn Féin, People Before Profit, and the Socialist Party saying scrap them now, and they believe a wealth tax could be the way to fund a water system. The Reform Alliance Group have written to the Government Chief Whip. They want one issue and one issue alone discussed in the Dáil next week, and that's the water charges.